Hello and welcome back to Zanshlou Gaming Mission Impressionable, where I go in and play the first 30 minutes to an hour of a game and give it a review based on the first impressions it gives. So, this one's going to be a little different. First of all, it's been a long time since I have recorded a video. This is my first reboot for the channel, and secondly, the game I'm going over is something that I kind of got from, I guess, just different circumstances. So normally when I do these, it's something that I've had sitting in my Steam library for a while. I picked it up on sale or part of a Humble Bundle or what have you. This time, however, this is a game that I was given a free code for. It wasn't anything I signed up for. It's not like a paid-for thing. Basically, I got an email from the people who made the game back in May that was like, hey, this is our game that we've been working on. Here's the preview code, and there was some information about them, and a little bit of information about the game, and it's like, hey, it's supposed to be coming out in July or whatever. Now, I didn't see this email until basically maybe a month or two ago when I started working on rebooting the channel and kind of fixing up some stuff. So, by the time I had gotten to it, I actually had 3 emails from them. The first was the one in May, being like, hey, check out this preview version of our game. The second one was when the game released, and it was like, hey, check out our new game. And the third one was when they did a content update, and they're like, hey, check out the content we added to our game. And I found it interesting because that's not something I ever expected to see at all. I never expected my channel to get any attention from anywhere at any point. It's mostly something I'm doing for myself, but also want to share with people. But at the same time, it was really cool. I know they probably just sent it to a bunch of different people and just threw it on, wherever. But at the same time, it's really cool to get something like that. It's not a paid-for thing or anything, but it's still something different and something I wasn't expecting. I don't know, it was cool. So, let's get into the game. Monolith is a top-down, twin-stick shooter, bullet hell roguelike. And it's what you expect from that kind of game, right? So, random generation, like your normal roguelike. You fly around in a ship, move with left stick, aim and shoot with right stick. I have no idea what keyboard controls are because I didn't even bother looking at it, but it does have them as an option. I'm a controller person when it comes to these kind of games for obvious reasons. But, yeah, so the rooms are kind of small. My first reaction in a couple of them was there's not a lot of room to dodge, but once you kind of get used to just the feel of the game, you realize that you have more than enough room to get around enemy projectiles and attack patterns and stuff once you learn what enemies do. So, in that regard, it is pretty good in all of the things it tries to be, right? It's got pretty good random generation. It very much reminded me of Binding of Isaac, in how the rooms are kind of laid out. You go in, you kill all the enemies, and then you can move on to the next room. So besides just rooms with enemies, you also got all floors seem to have a weapon room, and this will drop 2 new weapons for you to choose from. And the weapon power-ups, I really like what they did with them. First of all, none of the ones I have played with so far in my 3 runs I did for recording seemed bad in any way, right? I feel confident any boss could be beaten with any weapon. I had no issues with any of my weapons being oh man, this weapon sucks. The only thing I was kind of cautious about was your weapons have a limited amount of ammo, and that kind of forces you to either find more versions of that weapon, buy ammo refills, or just replace the weapon entirely. And I had a couple moments where I'd go into a room and I'd see the weapon options and I was just I like the one I have more than both of these, so I would stick with what I had. And, you know, I just did my best to find ammo and make sure I didn't run out. But the weapon power-ups actually have 2 to 3 modifications on them that change the way they work. So even if you have the same weapon type, like the fireball, which I used for pretty much the entirety of my second run, you get a lot of variety. So you can get modifications like the ability to shoot through walls, lingering explosions, homing shots, ricochet shots, like shotgun spread, where it shoots out in 3 directions, just to name a few of them. Like, one of the more interesting ones that I had for a while there was when you shot something, it would explode into, like, a little wave of, like, smaller shots. So that was kind of useful, but I think the best one was the lingering explosion one that I had, and kind of wish I didn't switch off of it at the point when I did, but at the same time, like, I think that run went really well because I kept picking up new weapons. Because if you, like, replace the weapon with, like, while you still have one, you kind of get some bonuses. Like, I think it gives you a bit of money, maybe some health back, stuff like that. And the money, of course, you use as you go through. You find different shops. Most floors will have at least 1 or 2 different types of shops. There's your normal shops, where it's just like, spend money, get an item. There's HP shops that take away from your maximum health. And then there's gamble shops, where you roll like a dice in the middle by hitting the A button. It's the only time you actually use a button other than like the triggers and the joysticks. Which was a little awkward. Like, every time I get in there, I kind of hesitate for a moment. Like, what button do I hit? But there'll be an item, you'll see what the item is, and then you roll a dice and you have to get a certain number to get the item. So that wasn't too bad. And then most floors will also have a vault that'll have a couple of small upgrades or some weapon options. Like, one of them just had like a damage 5% boost and like some money. Another one had just like 4 different weapon types, none of which I decided to pick up during that run. Stuff like that. And then you also have a upgrade room on every floor that'll give you like 3 different upgrades to choose from. Stuff like increased invulnerability frames, like increased chance for item drops, increase your max HP, you know, stuff like that. Just general, like, global upgrades. So the game kind of has a lot going on for it. And one thing that I really like is how much life you have. You start with a base 10 life, which means 10 hits before you die. And it seems generous. And in a lot of ways it is. Like, it is a lot of HP. If you're careful and good at bullet hells, which I am not, you can probably last quite a long time. But at the same time, having that much life does not make the game any easier. Like, it still is kind of a bullet hell. Like, normal enemies aren't too bad. There's a couple of mini-bosses that gave me some trouble. But the bosses themselves can get a little crazy, like, I don't know what's going on the screen type of crazy. So, yeah, good game, decent difficulty, not too easy, not too hard. Plenty of things to kind of help the player out. So, yeah. What else? The currency that you use to buy items from the shops, if you have any left over when you die, that carries over for, like, adding items to future runs, I guess. I decided to buy the freeze bomb, not because I really wanted the freeze bomb, but it was the one thing I could afford at the time when I unlocked that feature. And I did a 3rd run to kind of test that out. And yeah, from what I can tell, it makes it to where those items just show up as something you can buy, which that's something you see in a lot of roguelikes now, where you can, as you play through, you unlock more stuff that you can seed into future runs. One thing that's cool about this game is you can toggle stuff on and off. So, like, if I decided that I didn't like the freeze bombs at all and I just didn't want them to even show up, I could just turn them off. So, like, they're unlocked, I can put them in when I want to, but I could take them out as well. And it also means I could have, like, a just pure vanilla run, too, from best I can tell. So, really cool features. Nothing too extravagant for most roguelikes, but still, this game was really fun, and it's probably going to be one of my favorite roguelikes, just because of how well it meshes all of the different things into a very visually appealing package. Like, it's pixel art, a lot of stuff I do seems to be. I like that style. I actually grew up on the PlayStation 1, but I think, like, the peak of visuals in gaming where, like, before visuals mattered more than gameplay was, like, the Super Nintendo. Because those graphics, no matter how much time passes, they still look good. And this game kind of made me think of that same aesthetic, where it's, like, it's definitely pixel art, but it's like a higher quality of pixel art, I guess. I'm not 100% sure what point I'm trying to make here. I'm just saying that, like, I like the way the game looks, basically. Couple of smaller, charming things to the game. The pause screen, you have, like, the little ship that you fly, and it has, like, a little coffee mug. I think that's really cute. In the options, there's, like, options to, like, give it, like, a CRT effect, to add scan lines. You can turn off, like, the smoothing on the pixel graphics so that, because I actually didn't even notice it while playing, but it does have, like, a bit of a smoothing effect on, like, the outline of stuff, but you can make it, like, more just hard pixels, which I actually think looks a little better. I didn't actually do another run like that, so I don't really have much footage of the difference. As your health gets lower, your HUD at the top goes from green to orange to red. So as you take damage, like, you actually have that visual indicator without having to look at the actual number. You know, like, oh, my HUD turned red, my health is low. So you know to try to play a little more carefully. The music is pretty good. It puts you in the right mood for the game, but at the same time, it's probably not anything I would listen to outside of gameplay, which is fine. Not every soundtrack has to be a super giant masterpiece, but it is what it is, right? Like, it's good music for the game, and that's all it needs to be. So, I guess that's it, right? I feel like I rambled a lot. I'm not sure if I did. I hit all the points that I writ down, so I still don't like doing stuff scripted, because when I'm scripted, I sound scripted. Like, I can tell listening to myself that I am reading from a script, and I don't like the way it feels, but at the same time, I know I ramble a bit, and I can kind of jump all over the place, so if you think I should try scripted, leave, like, a comment for me, so that I know, like, it would be worth it for me to make that attempt to script things out. And that'll be it for this video. Like I said, leave a comment on if you think I should try going scripted again, or if I should stay in this kind of freeform context where I just take, like, little notes. And let me know what you think of the reboot of the channel. I got new intros on everything. Expect to see more shows coming out along the line. This game actually is related to another video that I want to do that hopefully we'll be seeing next week, but we'll see if I have the time for it, because I have kind of a busy week ahead of me. And that's all. Have a good one.